Sanam. This is Satpudik with your Dharma talk. This week, it's been a couple weeks since I've done this, and I wanted to share on the topic of groundlessness. Groundlessness is not something that we often talk about in Sikh Dharma, but it's a common term used in Buddha Dharma. And in the situation I'm in right now with my husband, we've sold our house, we're moving, we don't know where, and he doesn't want to know where. He wants to be groundless. He wants that. When I asked, he said the freedom of not having anything that's about ownership for now. And for me, it's bringing up a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of letting go, shedding. So as I'm here at the house, packing up our things, one box at a time, a few days in a row at a time, losing things that were very precious to me in that process. I'm looking at groundlessness and what does it mean to free fall. At other points in my life, through deep processes of grief and change, Pema Chodron's books have really come to serve my consciousness in so many ways. When Things Fall Apart is probably the best life tool I could offer anyone when they're going through deep changes. But what's interesting about this particular change in my life is that I don't feel like it's internally imposed. So much of the grief and pain in my past has been kind of a self-drama. And this time it's really coming from this outside force, this mutuality that I've come to be a part of in my marriage. And because it's coming from outside, I feel a different relationship to powerlessness than I have in any other time in my life when the deep transformational change has been happening. And so it's bringing up the notion of trust. It's bringing up allowing my life to change, allowing the unseen hand, the Guru's hand, to guide this part of my life. And for someone like me who's temperamentally and philosophically agnostic at best and atheist most of the time, there's no God outside of me. And so when I try to come into a relationship of trust with this outside force moving me out of my comfort zone, what do I turn to, right? How do I free fall into this state with some level of equanimity and peace of mind? Trust. And so part of it is going deeply into the understanding that all of this is temporary. And that the things that I feel attachment to, the things that I relate to in my daily life, they're all going to end anyway. And it doesn't mean we don't value our present life. It doesn't mean we don't value our friends, our family, our community, our world. But it means we understand the temporal nature. And we understand the groundlessness of it all in the Buddha Dharma sense, which is nothing arises of its own accord. It's all connected. And so this event, this thing that I'm living through, this outside force, I contributed to this decision. And when I come into a deep accountability of how I contributed, I get a little bit more freedom, a little bit more peace of mind. And so all of us, when we relate to some part of our life that feels out of our control, the most powerful thing we can do is come into our own relationship of accountability, recognizing how we contributed to it. And until we do that work, we continue to feel like we're being pushed by the ocean rather than riding on the waves. And I've spent many, many years tumbling in the ocean, and I have no interest in returning to that state of fighting what is. So in the notion of Sikh Dharma, we do have what's called hukum, that everything is in the play of the Guru's hand, the one doer, the one God. And so when I go into my internal frequency and ask myself, how did this come to be? I'm reminded that the Guru sent my husband, that whatever comes from that seeking of mutuality in this partnership, in this union, is a reflection of my own longing for God, for divinity, for union with my own self. And that whatever play is happening as we seek this groundlessness, this freedom of no owning, is just another play, just like the attachment is a play. The attachment to home, to coziness, to the things that are familiar to me. That too is a play. And that if I go within, I know within each of us is our own light, our own truth, our own inner knowing. And that's where the true home is. Right here. Home is always where I am. Home is always where I can close my eyes and go into that inner knowing, antarjami. So I encourage you to go through some of your closets, go through some of the things that you thought that you'd never be able to live without, and let them go, even if it's just a practice for a while, to find out the truth that the home is always right here and nowhere else. Everything else is temporal. And in its temporariness, our attachment can become too heavy to bear. Satnam, may you always know your own home, and may you be blessed in this new year.